Nigeria, a vibrant tapestry of places, people, stories, struggles, and unshakable spirits. Politicians make promises, but who really holds them accountable? I'm Tony Kubara, and this isn't just about politics. This is about us. This is where we confront the hard truths that few say publicly. Okay, welcome to Nigeria Unfiltered. Now, I had actually planned to talk today about a poll I did last week about the political situation in my home state, Rivers, and about the governor, Simfubara, who has been suspended. But there was an unexpected development on Sunday when ex-President Buhari passed away in London. And I've decided that it would be more appropriate to talk about Buhari today. And we can leave Rivers State matters till next week. Okay, so now Buhari is one of those people who sharply divides public opinion. On the one hand, you have people who think he's a saint and a hero, people who cannot be persuaded that he's anything less than perfect. And then on the other hand, you have people who can't stand him. They think he's evil, uncaring, an Islamic irredentist, and a highly incompetent leader who failed. Buhari is the first group of his fan club, if you like, put him on a level that is quite interesting because there are very few people who attract that level of devotion within the political sphere globally. That is, people who, no matter what they do, they have this unshakable fan base of supporters who will follow them from A to Z, from here to the end of the world without question. All politicians have some supporters, but few have that almost iconic thing about being unconditionally loved by millions of people. Buhari was definitely one of those. Alongside, I would say Peter Obi also has that kind of fanatical, almost fanatical group of people who adore him. And Donald Trump is another. And, there are one or two others dotted around the world, but let's concentrate on our own Buhari today. Now, I am somewhere between the two groups of people who love him and people who hate him. I've always felt that Buhari was a cut above the average Nigerian politician, despite his shortcomings. I've met him a few times during the election campaign in 2015 and 2014 that led to his victory over Goodluck Jonathan. And I supported him. I campaigned for him. That's how I met him, and met him on the campaign trail briefly. And I was surprised that I was supporting him because Goodluck Jonathan, who was the incumbent president, and his wife, Patience, come from my area in the Niger Delta. And ordinarily, being a Niger Delta activist, I would normally stand by a Niger Delta president and first lady 100%, even if I don't particularly like them or think they're doing well. In fact, I had been a passionate advocate of Goodluck Jonathan in the previous, before 2014, I had been very, very pro Goodluck because he was all we had. He was the hopes, and he represented the hopes and dreams of people from oil producing areas in this country that have been thoroughly exploited and cheated. And he was my brother. That's how I saw him. But, I was so disappointed in Goodluck There's so many things he didn't do that I felt he should have done for our people. But let's not go into that now. Let's just say that basically I decided to support Buhari in 2014 and 2015 because he struck me as this highly principled, disciplined military man who would deal with the chronic insecurity problems that the country was going through at that time, and also corruption, which was completely out of control. You know? So I just thought, you know what, to hell with it, Johnny, you're a citizen of the world. You're not meant to vote for people on regional or ethnic basis. Buhari may be from the other side of the country, but he's a better candidate than Goodluck Jonathan. So support him. That was how I felt at the time. And I subsequently, apart from briefly bumping into him during the campaign, I also then was invited to meet him after he won, when he came to London for a Commonwealth conference, and I was privileged to be picked alongside another journalist called Simon, and we spent about an hour with Buhari in the official residence in London. And he was very nice to me, very pleasant. I had just emerged from a very traumatic kidnapping experience, and he was very nice to me, I felt. And then, oh, by the way, he was quite friendly with some of my relatives. He had, for example, in 1984, visited my village to support my uncle in some fish farming venture he was engaged in. And so, you know, generally I had quite a positive attitude towards Buhari. And even when he turned out to be, in my view, even worse at governance than Goodluck Jonathan. I mean, he didn't control insecurity. He didn't kill corruption, or at least reduce it drastically. But I still somehow felt that there's something about him. He did not strike me as the kind of man who would want to be parading himself up and down in a Rolls Royce or buying 20 Rolex or Hublot watches that cost thousands and thousands of dollars. I couldn't imagine him even wanting a Ferrari or any of these flashy cars. I couldn't imagine him wanting any of these flashy, expensive women that a lot of Nigerian politicians purchase when they have made it. He just struck me as a modest man, a man of modest tastes in all aspects of his life. He did not come across as a gluttonous or avaricious man. But I do like people who have modest tastes around this whole leadership issue. That's one of the reasons I support Peter Obi. Peter Obi doesn't come across as a man who likes flashy women or big cars or noise and Owambe and Ashwebi and all those things. No, forget Ashwebi, because even I use Ashwebi sometimes, but you know what I mean. And unfortunately, Tinubu does come across as that kind of money person. So anyway, I'm just comparing him with other people, but the bottom line is that I continued to believe, as did some of my relatives and friends who had known Buhari or worked for him, that he was a man of simple inclinations. So I forgave him a lot of things, but by 2019 I was tired of his leadership inadequacies, and I voted for Atiku in 2019. I just came to the conclusion that Buhari didn't have what it took to pull this country together. And a lot of people were complaining the economy was, people were suffering. Then there was all this drama about herdsmen, and Buhari didn't seem to care much about He just came across as someone who's a little bit too biased towards his own people, his Fulani people. Anyway, whatever. I still thought quite well of him overall. Till today, I will say that he was better than Tinubu and better than Jonathan in some ways too. So why I say I'm in the middle is because I'm not with the people who say, oh, the man is fantastic. In every way, he can never make a mistake. Nor am I with the people who hate him and wanted him dead. But anyway, I also have this very objective streak. I'm a journalist. It's my job to analyze public figures and the situations in different societies and countries as objectively as possible. And when Buhari died on Sunday, I almost immediately got into a fight with some of his supporters online. People who wanted to engage with me when I said, oh, rest in peace, Buhari. Sorry to hear that you've died, but you could have done so much better. Your legacy is tarnished by poor performance. Some people simply don't believe that narrative about Buhari. They think he did just fine. How they can believe that, I don't know. You've got to be pretty deluded to think that those 8 years Buhari had were well used. I mean, I'm sure he did some good things, but he really didn't do good enough overall. And then there's some people who really believe that. And then there's some people who simply believe that even they agree that he wasn't perfect, but they think it is wrong to speak of ill of the dead, ever. Or at least in the days immediately following their death. So the question I want to ask Donald's World viewers, Nigerian Unfiltered viewers, is it ever okay to speak ill of the dead? I mean, even if some people have used some very vicious language against Buhari and said they're very happy that he's dead. Some people have simply, in moderate language, analyzed his legacy and found it wanting. And then I have a friend, well, quite a few friends who said, look, Donald, this is not the week to be analyzing Buhari and saying he didn't do well. You should never speak ill of the dead. And I say, well, why not? We're all on this earth to do a job, whether it is as an ordinary laborer or as a mother, a father, a daughter, a son, a president, a lawyer, or anything. Okay, maybe there should be a short period of silence and mourning when you pass away. Maybe people should wait a little while before they start pointing out your weaknesses and mistakes. But I do not think that it is appropriate for somebody who controlled the lives of 200 million people to get off scot-free, to escape criticism in the aftermath of his death, simply because it is wrong to speak ill of the dead. What about all the people who died while Buhari was president? Precisely because he didn't do a good job. All the people who died of inadequate health care, the people who died of terrorist and Fulani herdsmen incidents. Can't we speak for them? Can't we say that Buhari let them down? And talking about letting people down, one of the things Buhari said right at the beginning of his tenure was that he wasn't going to allow medical tourism, that, he was going to make sure that himself and the people around him, if they got sick, they would get their treatment in this country, get medical treatment in this country. Yet he made no attempt to build any world-class hospitals, even in his home state of Katsina. I'm not aware that he built any world-class hospital. Certainly in Abuja, the facilities continued to be mediocre. There's no discernible input from him. And whenever he was sick, he rushed off to London, and even just went there for routine medical checkups, and sometimes stayed there for weeks on end. So I think we can say that Buhari was a big hypocrite on this level, at the very least. Okay, so I forgot to mention that I was a member of Buhari's inauguration committee in 2015. And I really must express gratitude to Buhari for signing off on an environmental remediation program in Ogoniland, where I come from. I mean, this is a man from Daura, miles away in the north, who showed more concern for our polluted rivers and lands than Goodluck Jonathan, our brother, did. So let's balance things up a bit. On the one hand, Buhari had his good side, and 12 million Talakawas, or northern peasants, will be absolutely devastated now, and I want to offer them my condolences. Those are the people who regarded him as this heroic icon and were ready to follow him to the end. So I'm sorry, they must be feeling really bad this week. But on the other hand, Buhari disappointed millions of Nigerians, including me, if I look at the overall picture. So may he rest in peace. But let's not do a whitewash job just because he has passed away. It's important to be historically accurate about any individual. So thank you very much for listening.